Trying to get over to. Thank you everybody for joining us for today's swim live. Allow me to just hit record here on the. We're live on Facebook, but I'm gonna record to the cloud. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for Smart with Your Money Live. My name is Felipe Arevalo. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator here at the San Diego Financial Literacy Center Debt Wave Credit Counseling. Riding solo today, but today we're going to go over lending money to family and friends. Should you do it? And, go over some of the reasons why you want to be cautious, which is kind of our first slide here. Proceed with caution. There's so many things that can go wrong financially and otherwise that you want to really be careful. And I'll go over all the different things, not all of them, but some of the major things, some of the more common things that happen when people borrow money from friends and family. If you do decide to lend money to friends and family, some things to consider. But and this is part one of a two-part series. We're actually going back-to-back weeks, whereas usually we go every other week. We're going back-to-back this time because this will be part one of a two-part series. We felt that they were so close together that we should just do them back-to-back weeks. So hopefully you'll be able to join us on a little bit of a different schedule. But I'll go over the presentation for next week at the end. But proceed with caution, not with my presentation, but with the lending money. And the survey says, according to a 2022 survey by creditcards.com, 59% of people who lent money to friends and family had something bad happen. And that could be a few different things. And I'll touch on some of them here. But yeah, 59% had something bad. More than half of the time when people, and this is a survey by creditcards.com, more than half of the time when people lent money, something negative occurred. So if that's right there at the beginning, you've got to start thinking about it. Man, this is like only a 40% chance of success, almost 60% chance of something going sideways. And that should be a red flag. Maybe, the easiest answers, rule of thumb, is just say no. It's not always the easiest answer to give, but financially, it's the one that's not going to get you into any trouble. But so 59% say something bad happened. What else could happen? Well, the most obvious one is 42% of those respondents who surveyed in that same survey said that they lost money through the loans that they made to friends and family. So the most common bad thing that happened was money loss. It was just not paid back. It wasn't, so personal finance thing, we're all about helping people's personal finances, but if you're helping someone else and that's causing you, financial problems or the loss of money, maybe you hold back and maybe you protect your money. And again, this isn't an easy thing to say no. That sometimes that might be the hardest thing to say, is to say no, I can't let you borrow money right now. Or maybe you can, but no, I really don't think that that's a good idea. So you want to make sure that loss of money is by far the most common occurrence when you lend money. 10% said that it resulted in a negative credit impact. So their credit took a hit. And, for most of us, it's a constant battle to always try and keep your credit as high as possible, or rebuild your credit or build your credit, whatever it is. We're all trying to get our credit to go in the positive direction. You don't need it to start going into the negative direction. And, so maybe they had to carry more debt because they let someone else borrow money. Maybe they used their credit card to pay for someone and they were going to be paid back. and that just didn't happen in a timely fashion, and that caused them to miss payments or carry large balances that they otherwise would not have carried. So 10% are actually seeing a reduction in their credit, which can have big consequences if they need to go buy a car, they need to go buy a house, or whatever the case may be. I know it's a personal finance thing that we do here at the SDFLC Debt Wave, but some things are more important than money. And 26% experienced a damaged relationship with the borrower. So you might be thinking, man, this is my best friend, this is my cousin, this is my brother, my parents, my kids, whatever it is. But 26% of the people who were surveyed who allowed someone to borrow money had their relationship damaged. So yes, this might be the most important person in your life, or one of the most important people, but 26% of the people who loan money saw that relationship damage. Is that a risk you're willing to take? And that goes beyond the finances. Yeah, you might lose money, but if that also causes you to have a less productive relationship with a family member or a close friend, or potentially lose a friendship or lose that close connection to a family member, is it worth it? Or is it easier to just say no? They might be mad at you for a little bit. They might be thinking, oh man, that was messed up. I know they have money, I know they could have helped me, but they decided not to. But then it's over. You don't have that lingering potential to damage that relationship, which again could go more beyond than just money. Sometimes the assistance that is requested isn't even financial. It might be something along the lines of, can I borrow credit? And can you co-sign? That signature can be just as helpful and at the same time just as damaging to the person who's doing the lending, because if you can't afford to pay it yourself, you're on the hook for whatever it is that you co-sign. Not everyone can be like the Gilmore Girls mom and lend money and not really care about it, because unless you're very financially well off, you probably need to be a little bit more careful with your finances. But co-signing is such a problem. We see it a lot with young people. The example goes a little bit like this. Someone comes in and says, hey, I was out car shopping with my significant other, or they were out car shopping, I was just driving them around, and they found the perfect car that they wanted. They were going to get a great deal, but when the finance person came in, they said, I'd love to sell you the car, but you just don't have enough credit. You don't have enough income showing, you don't have enough credit, whatever it is. If only you had a cosigner. And they looked over, batted their eyelashes, and said, you love me and we're going to be together forever, right? So ran in and co-signed for the loan. And 6 months later, for whatever reason, they're no longer together and they don't want the car because it reminds them of you. What are your options at that point? You don't have very good options. You're stuck with that car loan. If they're saying, yeah, I don't want to pay for it, it reminds me of you, I don't like it, I don't want it, I never wanted it to begin with, I'm gonna let it get repossessed. You can ask them for the car back, you put it under your name, refinance it, pay for it, hope you really liked it. You can ask them to refinance it, which they're mad at you for whatever reason, they don't want the car anyways. Why would they refinance it? They're just gonna let it get repossessed anyways. And or it's going to get repossessed. It's going to go on your credit as a repossession. It's going to be sold off at auction. The difference between what you owed and what was able to be recovered after fees and whatnot will go on your credit report for up to 7 years as money that you owe. That could be thousands of dollars for years that will show on your credit report as money you owed, not to mention the history of the repossession. So don't co-sign. That's just a car example, but don't co-sign for a friend or family, if you can avoid it. That's almost, especially on like a credit card too, because that's like an endless amount of go spend money on whatever you want. At least the car is just over. But even if they're paying that car as agreed and everything's going great, let's say for whatever reason you need to go get a car a few months later, the fact that you already have a car loan may affect your ability to go get a car loan. So you might be sitting there, now you can't get approved for the car that you need because you co-signed on someone else's car, even though they're making payments properly. So that was just one little example where co-signing can be a dangerous thing that you want to try and avoid. So, one, suggestion, if you decide, yes, I'm just going to lend the money, is lend the money if you can lose it. One of our most active volunteers, Ray Russell, I've heard her say it a couple times during presentations, is you only lend money if you're willing to give it away. If it's more money than what you're willing to give away, don't do it to friends and family, because then you risk all the different things. So lend it if you can lose it. If a friend says, hey, can I borrow 20, and a $20 bill is not going to make or break your personal financial situation if you don't get it back, yeah, give them the 20. This is for small amounts. It's probably not going to hurt you in the long term. It may delay, but every situation is different. So that dollar amount can be different. $20 might be a lot if you're in a middle of your payoff journey and you're trying to, just get out of debt. You're paying interest on that $20 that you could have sent to your credit card company and not paid interest on. And interests are so high these days, you'd be paying 20% on that $20 for the next, 5 years while you pay off your cards. So, hopefully your interest, or if you're paying off debt and your interests are at 20%, look for different options. Call the counseling team at DebtWave so they can kind of give you different options. But if you, if it's a certain small amount and you could say, what, if my buddy never pays me back these $40, I'm gonna be okay. Then yeah, go ahead and lend it. You get it back. That's a cherry on top. If you don't get it back, you cut out some Starbucks for the next couple months and you break even. Actually been to Starbucks like twice in the last week, which is like a lot. It's bringing back old memories. Like, oh man, I remember I see the Starbucks now. I walk past it. I was like, I could just go back and grab one for the road. I have to remind myself, you don't do that anymore. As much as I love it. So, if you can lose the money, go ahead and lend it. That way you don't have to stress about it financially. But you don't want to put your financial success at risk. I love this show. I should do an episode on this show. Although I fear I may lose, one or two of my 5 fans if I did an episode on this show. But, don't risk your financial situation, your financial future, because you're lending money. And we're talking especially sometimes big loans. If you have big plans, you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to pay off your debt, you're trying to buy a car, you're trying to save up money for a vacation, an emergency, you're trying, whatever your financial goals happen to be. Don't risk your financial success or your financial well-being to help someone else out, because, at the end of the day, you got to take care of your finances. And if helping someone else is going to put you in a situation where now you need help, that's not beneficial. And a lot of times I think those friends and family, those loved ones, if they knew that was going to happen, they might say, you know what, no, it's okay, I got it, I'll figure something else out. They don't want to put you in a tough financial situation. They don't want to, affect your long-term success because you're helping them out. I talked to an individual last week, and they mentioned, someone had asked to borrow money and they had to turn them away, and they had to say, you know what, I'm not in a position to lend money. I need some help too. And their friend said, wow, I didn't know. You seem to have everything figured out, and I never realized it. And that could be, that could be a situation that's common. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I try and give you guys give you as many ideas as possible. I'm not in a position to at this point in time, or I'm working towards some financial goals right now and I just can't do it. You know, it's not that I don't want to, it's just that I'm not in a position to do so at this point in time. And being in that position may never happen, but you don't have to add that part in. But you just say, I'm not in a position to do that at this point in time. You know, just like if your friends, you know, invite you out to go out to eat or go out on a weekend golf trip or something like that, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's important to be able to say no, even if it's you're gonna spend the money. For that one, I always like to say, you know, that's just not in my budget right now. You know, I got a few other things I got moving around. And you know, that's just not there right now. So don't risk your finances. If you do lend money, get things in writing. It seems like this is my friend, my family. Yeah, but for everyone's sake, just get things in writing. It'll remove confusion down the road. They keep a copy, you keep a copy, everyone knows what's going on. You know, just remove the situation where, you know, 6 months down, like, what did we agree on? We'll just pull up the paper and look, or I guess email. I guess you could do it via email or whatever, but get things in writing. Not if you're like my wife and you delete all your emails, because then it wouldn't do you any good. But if you save all your emails like I do, you know, get it in email, but get things in writing. Yeah, avoid the he said, she said. You know, if it's written there, you know, we both agree to these terms, it can go, all right, we're good. It can avoid some of the problems that could arise where it's like, man, I really thought they said they were going to lend it to me for free, and the other person thinking, well, no, that you were going to pay me interest. Now it's in writing. Now everyone knows. It doesn't have to be this giant 15-page legal document, you know, for $200 or something like that. But it could just be, you know, hey, I'm gonna let you borrow $200. You're gonna pay me back $50 the next 4 months, whatever. And it depends on what dollar amount you're comfortable with. You know, if you're comfortable with lending someone $200, and yeah, I'll get it back. It goes back to that. Are you willing to risk it? Is it going to really mess up your finances if someone just, you know, shorts you that money? This could be a presentation in itself, and I'm not a CPA, so I'm not going to even try and delve into all the different tax implications, but there potentially could be tax implications for lending money, especially if you're doing, if you're charging interest. That interest could be, you know, affect both the lender and the borrower's taxes. Believe it or not, even gifts. Now, this would have to be a really big gift amount, you know, but even gifts, and again, really big amount in 2023, I think that amount is up to 17,000. So, you know, if you're giving over that, you know, kudos to you. Oh, someone said they lost connection for a bit. Yeah, don't forget that lending money could have tax implications, whether it's for the borrower and or the lender. Sometimes it's bigger amounts, but if you're doing interest and that kind of thing, you know, if you're charging interest, that could be potential tax implications as well. So again, not a CPA. If it's a big amount of money, you want to talk to a tax person or a tax pro and you know, get some details before you make that big loan. So any questions that there may be either on here or on Facebook? No questions. Perfect. Well, which brings us to our last slide. I kind of changed up the order this time, kind of keep everybody on their toes. Are you a financial enabler? That's the question. You know, by lending money, do you become a financial enabler? Potentially. And you might be thinking, what is a financial enabler? Well, if you are thinking that, or you ever have, or you just never heard of it before, you can join us next week. I'm telling you that we're coming back to back. Signs You're a Financial Enabler is next week. And that's kind of why we wanted to go back to back weeks, because it's so connected to this week's presentation. So if you're watching this on record and it's more than a week old, go to the next video and watch the next one. If you're watching this and it hasn't been a week old, excuse me, check out Eventbrite, log in, and join us on August 2nd for Signs You're a Financial Enabler. And if you haven't gotten tired of watching me and you want to keep learning on a daily basis, we do now I do daily swim tips. These are short, less than 30 seconds. So you don't really have to spend a lot of time there. But you can find us on social media. Some of them, this isn't groundbreaking things. You're not going to find a groundbreaking tip, but I try and keep them fun and entertaining at the same time, some very informative ones. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at SDFLC, TikTok at s.d.finlit, and then YouTube and Facebook, San Diego Financial Literacy Center. Again, don't expect groundbreaking stuff. It's hard to put a lot of info in a 20-second video, but again, short little daily tips on something related to personal finances, sometimes barely related, albeit, but related to personal finances, or whatever's happening in the world or in the world of Felipe. And that's it for me. Thank you for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.